Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Chat with the Author. I'm trying out a new camera and I don't think I'm going to keep it actually. I feel like it's not quite what I need. Hold on, let me just adjust a little bit. Yeah, I feel like my screen is way too forward for what I'm doing right now. And this is a really bizarre, I feel like this is, I feel like I'm not quite looking at the screen, at the camera. I'm not really sure, but I want to welcome you here. If you're watching this on replay, this is something new that I'm doing. It's called Chat with the Author, where I talk about one of my 11 published books. Today's topic is on chakra healing for vibrant energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. And I'm going to tell some personal stories here. So if you're watching this on replay, I'm going to tell a real personal story about this particular book. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm playing around with this. I'm playing around with this camera. I'm going to get something to prop this up, the computer. And let's see if this makes a difference in what I can personally see. So we're gonna fool around with this for a minute here. Okay, no, that actually makes it worse. All right, so lesson learned here. Lesson learned. So see how tiny I look? I really have to bring the screen forward with this. Yeah, I think this is actually not going to work. So it's okay. It's okay for today. Today we're going to work with this. We're going to work with what I have for today. So I want to welcome you here if you're just joining me. I know I'm going to look down. So I'm going to look down here, and apparently that'll be like looking straight at you guys, looking straight in your eyes. It's a very weird configuration, but we're going to work with it. I just got back from Hawaii, and this is Gudetama. This is Hawaiian Gudetama. And if you've watched some of my live streams, you know that I love Gudetama, and Gudetama is one of my mascots. And this is Hawaiian Gudetama that I got in Hawaii. So he's playing the ukulele, which is very Hawaiian. And I got to do a lot of writing / soul searching in Hawaii and book preparation, if you will, and for my upcoming book that's coming out in March of 2025. And so that is what I was preparing while I was in Hawaii. And that really led me to talking about this. And I really need to fix this camera, but it led me to talking about chakra healing for vibrant energy, but it really led me to talking about why I'm talking about the chakras. And it's my 10-year book anniversary as an author. And that is something. So let me just tell you that that's something. When you publish your first book, it is a huge deal. It's a big, big, big deal. And for me, coming on my 10-year book anniversary as being a published author, that is huge for me. And so for the final time ever, I'm going to tell the story of how I got to the chakras. And once you learn this story, you will understand a little bit more what brought me here to even writing my first book. I had always wanted to write fiction. I never quite wanted to write nonfiction. And so the story I'm about to tell you, which is told in both of these books, The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda and Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, which both were initially long story short, they were both published by New World Library, but the first rendition of The Wheel of Healing was this book. And I self-published it in 2014, and it was originally called The Wheel of Healing, An Easy Guide to an Ayurvedic Lifestyle. And then New World Library changed the title of it to The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, An Easy Guide to a Healthy Lifestyle. So I would have never really gotten to becoming a nonfiction published author if it weren't for the following story. And so I made the decision. I've been doing a lot of meditation. And if you're here, please do say hello in the chat box. I would love to say hello to you. And I will tell the story one more time. It is in my published books. It is in some of my YouTube videos from way long ago, from when I first published my book. But this is the final time that I'm going to tell this story, and here's why. Vibrationally, I don't want to hold that vibration anymore. I don't want to hold the vibration of this story in my energy field anymore. And we're going to talk about energy fields when we talk about the chakras. And so this is the last time I'm going to tell this story. And maybe you're meant to hear this story. Maybe this story will help you on your healing journey. And the story does exist in my published books. And I feel like vibrationally, I just can't talk about this story anymore. But this is the final time. So this is sort of like nostalgia and bringing me back to writing my very first published book and what that did for me, and getting that publishing contract with New World Library in 2014. They published the book in 2015. That story that I'm going to tell you brought me to that point of being a bona fide, what I call bona fide published author. It was something that had been a lifelong dream for me. So as some of you know, and here's the story, by the way, as some of you know, in 1999, when I was 28 years old, I had two small children. I had a 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old at the time. I was a young mom. I was married. And I went to my OBGYN for routine. Well, it wasn't a routine checkup. I actually had what women call breakthrough bleeding. It's when they bleed in between the periods. And I went to my OBGYN, but she was on maternity leave. And the person that was there was the head of obstetrics at Fairfax Hospital. And he walked into the examining room when, again, I was just going for an OBGYN appointment. He walked into the examining room and he looked at me and he said, "Who is taking care of your thyroid problem?" And I was like, what? I didn't even know what a thyroid was. I had no idea what a thyroid was. And I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? And he said, "That lump on the side of your neck. What is that?" And hey, Clara, hi, thanks for joining. And I didn't even know there was a lump on the side of my neck. I had no idea. Being a young mom of 2 kids, I barely even had time to look at myself in the mirror. And that shows you how disconnected I was from myself. And it terrified me because after that appointment, he immediately scheduled a fine needle biopsy with an endocrinologist, which, again, I didn't even know what an endocrinologist was, but he had scheduled me for an appointment with an endocrinologist the same day, that same day. And I was, mind you, I was 28 years old. That very same day, he scheduled me for a fine needle biopsy. And when the lab came back, they said it was inconclusive. It looked like it might be cancerous, but it was pretty inconclusive. And the endocrinologist wanted me to go into surgery within a month, which I did. And he said, "I want to take the lump out. We don't know." In the surgical room, inside the surgical room, they had a pathologist, and the pathologist said, "Nope, it's not cancer." So I go home to recover. And then a week later, I get a phone call from the hospital. And they said the pathology report came back, and yes, it is cancerous, and you need to get the other half of your thyroid taken out. So for me, being 28 years old, being faced with my own mortality, even though thyroid cancer is not life-threatening, but anytime you hear the word cancer, and especially when you're in your 20s, it's very, very, very shocking. And the first thing that you go to is my kids. Like, will my kids be raised without a mother? Like, that's the first thing you immediately go to. And oh boy, I will tell you, the time that I had, it was crazy. But throughout the entire process, I kept asking the doctors the same question. And the question I kept asking the doctors was, why? Why did I get cancer? What made this happen? This does not make sense to me. I'd been living a relatively healthy lifestyle. I'd been vegetarian since I was 18 years old, and I exercised. In fact, at the time that I was diagnosed, I was running 5 miles 4 days a week. So I was running 20 miles a week. And the doctors kept saying the same things. We don't know. We don't know what causes cancer. We don't know. Nobody knows. We don't know. And that answer was not satisfying for me. I said, that is not an answer. And so I went to the library and I checked out as many books as I could on mind-body health, on alternative healing, on herbal diets, on diets. I took out as many books as I could on healthy living and alternative medicine. And I stumbled upon a book by Christiane Northrup, and that book is called Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And I started reading it, and in that book, there was a tiny paragraph. And in that paragraph, I mean, it's a huge book, but there was a tiny paragraph on the chakras, on the chakra system. And I read that tiny paragraph on the chakras. And until then, I had no idea what a chakra was. Of course, I had studied yoga, but I didn't know anything about the chakras. I studied hatha yoga, and, then after that, it was like yoga in the gym. And back then, yoga wasn't very popular, so they didn't really talk about the chakras. And so this Christiane Northrup, this author who happened to be a medical doctor, she was talking about the chakras, and she was telling her specific stories surrounding a chakra. I believe it was the heart chakra. And when I studied about the throat chakra, everything flooded back to me. In other words, I thought about where the thyroid is. The thyroid is in the throat chakra, the 5th chakra, which is truth, verbal expression, being able to live your truth, speak your truth, talk about your truth, tell your truth, being able to speak your words that you want other people to hear. And I know that I had been suppressed for a long time on that one. And in fact, when I traced it back, I had always been sick in the throat since I was a kid, and I grew up as a very sickly kid. And it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was I a sickly kid because my mom was constantly worried about me being sick and ushering me to the doctors all the time? Or was it that I was a sickly kid? I don't know which came first. But I had so many ailments in the throat. And so I had tonsillitis, I had strep throat. When I was 17, I had mononucleosis, and I had an abscess in the throat, and they had to surgically open it up. And then that led me to the thyroid cancer. So it was just one after another, trouble with the throat. So when I began to connect the dots and go, I don't know why I got the thyroid cancer, but I think I'm going to start here. I think I'm going to start with this throat chakra and see what happens. I began a journey into healing that was incredible and empowering because of that teeny tiny little paragraph in the book, Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And so I'm here to tell you a little bit about the chakras, because for your healing journey, you might not be aware of what the chakras are or what they represent. You might not even believe in the chakras. You might think it's just a bunch of bull, right? Which I wouldn't blame you for that. Clara says, I was just listening to your book, Chakra Healing book. No way. That is crazy. What a great coincidence, Clara. I love that. And I know a lot of you are going to be tuning into this on replay. And I just want to tell you the usefulness of the chakras and why I ended up writing this book after I wrote The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, because Ayurveda also had a huge impact on my healing journey. Chakra, the word chakra means wheel, and a chakra is a wheel of energy. And we all have an energetic body. In fact, all of our cells are composed of energy and information and nothing else. We think our cells are solid, but they are not solid at all. Everything on earth, every molecule is comprised of energy and information. So it's all energy, every single bit of it. Even the table, I'm going to knock on a table right here, even though you can't see it. You can hear that? The table appears solid, it feels solid, but the table, in fact, is not solid at all. The table is just filled with molecules of energy and information that are operating at great speeds. So they appear to be solid, but you are energy and information. That is all you are. That's all I am. And so the chakras represent centers of this energy and information. And there are 7 main chakras from the base of the spine up through the crown to the crown of the head. And the areas where the chakras are represent different areas in the body. They can represent organs, parts of the body. They can represent emotions. They represent energy and colors, auras, all those kinds of things. But when the energy cannot flow, and that's practices like yoga, tai chi, qigong is all about the flow of energy. Even Kundalini yoga is about bringing up that energy. And in fact, the chakra system comes from an ancient Indian tradition called Tantra. Now, most of us know about Tantra because of the sexuality of Tantra, but really that's not what it was about initially. Initially, it was just a form of disciplinary practice like yoga. So the chakra system, learning about it and understanding it, even on a very basic level. So that's what I want to hear. I want you guys to hear me say this, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on replay. Knowledge of the chakra system, even at its most basic level, can really help integrate healing. Let me explain why that is true. Even awareness of the chakra, bringing attention to the chakra, bringing awareness to that chakra can help you to heal, because where your attention goes, energy flows. And the fact that when I was sick with the thyroid and then with no thyroid, and I was still really sick, even when I didn't have a thyroid, because then my body had to adjust to not having this vital organ that you actually need to live. As I was bringing attention to the throat chakra, even though I didn't really know about the chakras, I was like kind of just basic information about the chakras. Me bringing attention to the chakras brought healing to my throat chakra, to the 5th chakra. So I began doing the work to heal the 5th chakra, even if I didn't have the education of the chakra system. And I didn't really have much of a belief system either, because it was so new to me, I couldn't really have adopted it as a belief. So I went into the chakra system with, well, it's worth taking a look at. Like, it was like, I want to heal. It's worth taking a look at. And there are so many things that you can do to align your chakra individually and holistically, right? All the chakras. But there are various practices that you can focus on in order to bring attention to that specific chakra to heal that area of your body. In my case, it was the throat. So I had to ask myself questions like, where in my life and with whom in my life do I personally feel that I cannot voice my opinion, or that I cannot speak my truth, or that I cannot feel like I can be authentic with A, B, or C person? Why do I feel like I have to conceal or hide myself with certain people and not speak my truth with certain people? And when I began to ask myself those types of questions, more questions came up. And then I was able to go through those questions that came up with a blocked throat chakra in order to heal on another level and another level and another level. So it really brought up a lot of healing for me. even though I had barely any knowledge on the chakras, and even though I had very little belief. For me, it was like, I will try anything at this point. That's where I was at. I will try anything at this point. Now, before we go on and do a brief overview of the chakras, now that you've heard my story, I want to tell you that if you go to my website, the link is in the info box. If you go to my website and go to the meditation link on the website, which I believe I've linked that in the info box, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can download for free my guided chakra healing meditation for all 7 chakras. So that is free for you. You can just listen to it and heal. Just listen to it. You don't even have to do anything with the chakras. Just download it, listen to it, and within days, your chakras will start to align and be healed. So you really don't have to do anything beyond that. But if you want a deeper dive into the chakras and the chakra system to be able to heal, then you can pick up a copy of my book in any format. So let's start with the base chakra. The base chakra is called the Muladhara chakra. The Muladhara chakra sits at the base of the spine. The color is red, and it is all about security, having our basic needs met, feeling grounded on the earth. It's very close to the concept of manifestation because it's the earth element. So the more grounded you are, which most of us are not grounded, by the way, most of us are not, because we live in a virtual world, right? We live on our phones, we live on our computers, we live over Zoom, we do the FaceTime. That's all virtual world. Hold on just a minute. I got too excited there. That's all the virtual world. And so generally speaking, we're not very grounded. And so doing root chakra meditations can be really useful to ground you again. Doing hatha yoga, for example, is a really good way to ground yourself. Doing meditation is a great way to ground yourself. Second chakra, Svadhisthana, creativity and sexual center. A lot of people think this is only about sex. Yes, your sex organs are included in that, but really it's the creativity chakra. It's getting things creatively done. It's not suppressing that creative drive. It's not suppressing your need to create as a human, because as humans, we need to create. That's who we are. We are co-creators. We absolutely, positively need to create. Third chakra, solar plexus chakra. This is our area of personal power, our ego-driven center, but ego is good, guys. Egos are not bad. Egos can go awry. Egos can misbehave, but the ego is not bad. It is your personality. It's how you get things done in life. It's how you assert your will. It's how you assert your desires. That is the third chakra. The fourth chakra is the heart center, right? And it includes your lungs. It includes your heart. It includes your upper back. So I'm not really talking so much about the anatomical areas in the body as much, but the lists are bigger inside the book. Heart chakra, pretty self-explanatory, right? That's our sense of love and connection to others. And it's also our personal love, how we conceive of ourselves, how our self-love, and thinking about joy, laughter, lightheartedness. Those are signs of a balanced heart chakra. And then moving up into the throat chakra. This is the area, as I mentioned, of truth, speaking your truth, being authentic, showing who you are to the world, and being able to articulate the truth that is in your heart. Now let's go to the third eye chakra. There's a lot of talk about the third eye chakra, actually. And it is our source of intuition. It's our sense of enlightenment. It's our sense of spiritual connection. It goes beyond the chakras of matter. It really connects to the chakras of spirit. And it is about seeing, like clairvoyance, clairsentience. It's like the feeling that you are connected. Some people might call it the sixth sense. Then there's the crown chakra, Sahasrara, thousand petal lotus chakra. That's our source of enlightenment, connection to higher source. Some people might call that Christ consciousness. It's really considered to be how we download, for example, from the universe. So those are just a brief overview of the 7 chakras. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. There are many different ways that I mention in the book to heal and align the chakras. The guided meditation I mentioned on my website is one of them. There are others, such as foods you can eat, which is also in the book because I connect Ayurveda, mind-body medicine, to the chakra system. So there are foods you can eat to balance each of the chakras. There are crystals. Of course, I'm sure you've heard that somewhere. There are crystals that can help you heal each chakra. Yoga poses that are defined for each of the chakras. Breathing exercises that can help align and move that energy around, as well as emotional exploration, because each of the chakras does correspond to a specific emotion or emotional state. So for example, what might you think of when you go to the heart chakra as an emotional state? Well, the instant one would be love, right? That would be the instant emotional state you can think of when you think of the heart chakra. But another one would be forgiveness. Being able to go into that area of yourself that either self-forgives or forgives the other. So those would be emotional states that you could really work through when it comes to the heart chakra. Let's go to the throat chakra. For someone who has a really difficult time telling the truth because they're afraid of other people's reactions. So they might sugarcoat the truth a little bit. They might tell a few white lies to make things better or smooth over. And not being able to speak your truth and wanting to sugarcoat things or tell white lies might be a shadow work that you could do emotionally when you're talking about healing the throat chakra. I'm going to read Clara's comment here. Hey, Mike. Hi, how are you? So Clara says, I'm doing my chakra cleanse now. I just started yesterday and on day 2 of the root, what activities do you recommend to help heal and align this energy center? Thank you so much. I appreciate the question, Clara. So the root chakra, since it is a very grounding chakra, I would say do grounding types of activities, such as meditation's a great one, of course. Some people really like to do things like walking meditations because they feel it energizes them. If you're looking to really root yourself down into the root chakra, I would definitely say do a sitting, grounding meditation with feet on the ground. That's another misconception about sitting in a chair in lotus pose, for example. When you're healing the root chakra, have your feet flat on the ground. Do activities like walking through the grass with your bare feet. No, I'm serious about that one. Walking through the grass or through the sand with your bare feet, putting your bare feet on Mother Earth. Meditating while sitting against a tree trunk is extremely grounding, will help to root down that root chakra. Another thing you can do while you're meditating is imagining roots coming out of your bottom, and connecting to Mother Earth. So those are all types of activities you can do. Usually grounding the root, for example, you would want to do activities that are more slow and flowing. So Tai Chi, Qigong, those types of activities. So I hope that was helpful. If you have another question, please do ask. Mike says, do you know about Vedic astrology? Thanks for your question, Mike. I do know about Vedic astrology. I've actually had a few Vedic astrology readings. So it's called Jyotish in Sanskrit. And it's based on sidereal astrology. They read different than Western astrologers. But I don't practice Jyotish or Vedic astrology. Claire says, I did some grounding, walking barefoot. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. That's actually quite perfect. Yeah, Claire, and also, I don't know if you know this, but on YouTube, I have a playlist. I have a chakra yoga playlist and a chakra yogic breathing playlist also on YouTube for each of the chakras. Excuse me. And I think each video is about 15, 20 minutes. I'm in my Rahu Mahadasha period. Yeah, I mean, the Rahu would be, I don't know, is that the head of the dragon? I know Ketu and Rahu are the lunar nodes. Yeah, so I don't honestly, Mike, I don't know enough about Vedic astrology to comment on that. What I do know is I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I was really sick growing up as a child. And I believe a Vedic astrologer told me that in my childhood till I was like 17, I was in the Rahu period. So it tracked that I was sick as a child because of that. So that's the only thing I know. I'm sorry, I can't comment further on that one. All right, guys. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. If you're watching this on replay, I totally appreciate you guys being here. I'm sorry, Claire has one more question and then we'll go. I saw them the first year. I did this cleanse in 21. Is the chakra meditation that you recommend earlier new? I would say if you have never downloaded it from my website, Clara, go ahead and download it. It is basically, if you've listened to the Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy on Audible, there are the 7 chakra guided meditations on the Audible version, but they're not together. So what I did on the chakra healing exercise, the chakra healing meditation on my website that you can download on the meditation page, I composed all of them together. I think I have background music to it. I'm not quite sure, but in any case, the 7 chakras are all together. So there's the guided meditations for all 7 together on that track. So Mike says, love your positivity and friendliness. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. So I'm so excited with this chat with the author. We're going to continue this every single Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time based on a different book. We started off with the Empowered Divine Feminine, which I may go back to next week. I had to pause about the chakra healing because in the Empowered Divine Feminine, I do talk about the chakras a little bit. And when I came to the part in the Empowered Divine Feminine where I really wanted to mention the chakras, I said, well, a lot of people might not even really know about the chakras. So I decided to talk a little bit about it this week. So next week, if we go back to the Empowered Divine Feminine, then it will make more sense to those that aren't really aware of it. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will see you guys next week at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time for Chat with the Author. Thanks so much. Bye.